Oh, there's already 2 people waiting. This is fun.
Oh, good evening.
I have a torch. But tells me that's going to be too
much. That's one way to light it up. Hello to anybody that's out there. Good evening.
Hello, people. I've got to be careful where I put it as well, because there's a crack in my camera lens, like that.
Oh, yeah.
My ghost.
Hey, is that Anna in the chat? Good evening. Very excitable there, my darling.
Hello,
Anna. How are you? How are you? Good to have you. Is it just me, or is anybody else kind of in disbelief that it's already a week into November?
I had that feeling. I can't remember what day it was, but so it was all of a sudden bonfire night, and I was like,
yeah,
that's 5 days.
yeah, like what on earth is going on?
Right.
Oh, that's good to hear. Just feeling great today. Hope you're both okay.
Oh, bless you. I'm glad.
It's weird. It's weird you should say that, Anna, because I was chatting to like one of the ladies at work, and I was like, I've got this really kind of exciting. Hey, up, that's what that keeps adding to mine. I've got this really strange kind of underlying excitable feeling, and I don't know whether it's because Christmas is coming up, and this year it's not like an experimental Christmas. Like last year, it was my first sober Christmas, whereas this year it's like, you know, I've been there, I've done that. I'm. It's not kind of such a, oh God, how's it going to be? How am I going to cope and all the rest of it? So I don't know whether it's that. I don't know whether there's something in the air, or whether I am just looking forward to a bit of festive family fun. I don't know. It's strange.
It's I was interested to see how you'd be dealing with it, to be fair, because I feel like that first challenge, you've got that challenge, right, keeping you there. And obviously the time that you've put in and all the effort you've put into sobriety, that obviously it's not like you're going to be like, oh, it's Christmas, you know what, I will have a drink. But I feel like not having that initial, like, people already know you can do that now, right? It's not as if
I know what you mean.
Oh, well done, Lindsay, is going to really like spur you on as much. The longer you go into it, the less people notice it. Maybe it gets brought up to you, like,
yeah, well, kind of like you say, the novelty wears off and you start to feel. But funny enough, no, because Anna sent me a video. She said it made her think of me, and it was this guy who'd put together some of his clips of him like prattling about. And then the caption over it was to do with you wouldn't even know that you're not drinking. And I think that's for me now, it's just a new norm. You know, it's like, yeah, there's not the novelty challenge factor anymore, but I'm just feel so grateful that I've discovered this new normal for myself. And it's just, I think that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, is just Christmas without there being that added challenge factor, you know, like I'm cool with it. So
I love that.
I thought I'm going to do my own take on that video and put some of the clips of me from this year, like out dancing and stuff, and just say, like in quotes, like, you wouldn't know she was sober, but then put, until I'm skipping off at midnight to drive myself home. You know, that is one major factor, that I'm not necessarily out till 2-3 in the morning anymore, but I'm fine with that.
I think that's it's always a great point to, how many times have I said it? But still, it's always good reminding people, you get to drive yourself home. Like, how much a taxi on like New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve? Like, it's bad enough normally on a weekend when it's past, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. is when the tariff goes up, right? And taxis.
Yeah.
Your buses are ending fairly soon. It's
maybe that's an idea. Christmas and New Year, I'll just be like, all my mates that are drinking, like, oh, so anybody want to pay me double for a lift home?
That's amazing.
So who have we got in the chat then? We've got Gurgit saying, I love your piercing. I'm assuming that we're talking about your snake bites. Is that what it's called? Snake bite piercings.
Snake bites could also be your nose. Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I feel like yours are definitely more noteworthy. And we've got Sarah. Evening, Sarah. How are you? It's lovely that you can join us. And Lou as well. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. And to everybody that's not in the chat and that is watching live, you will have noticed we are not in a different studio tonight.
We are hibernating. I am literally in the darkest hole, like not metaphorically. I mean, I'm actually quite good, like mentally. But outside, it's just like, it shouldn't be this dark. Do you remember in the summer, we'd look out the window at this point, we'd finished the podcast and it was still light out.
Yeah.
And I don't know what age I'm going to get used to this.
I know. Do you know, I did think that. Like, why is it that the Brits have the same conversation every single year? Oh, look how dark it is. Like, we finished a staff meeting today and one of the staff members was like, oh my God, it's dark outside. And it is a bit dreary, isn't it? You're finishing work in the dark.
Yeah, it's nasty. Can you imagine living in like some sort of like Scandinavian or like, you know, where you get that like long periods of darkness throughout months, and then obviously you get that opposite during the lighter summer months. But I don't know if I would swap full days of light for full days of darkness.
Yeah. The thing is with it being in the summer and when it's light, you do feel like it's more, I don't know, I like the whole kind of vibrancy and feeling like there's a lot of potential, you can go out later and stuff like that. But I do also like it when the nights draw in and it's dark a bit earlier and you can get all like cozy. I quite like that vibe as well.
I like being cozy and I hate wasting my life. And it comes into that, like, I love getting cozy, but for the first few hours, I feel like I can't fully relax. I'm like,
it's not late enough.
Yeah. And it makes me go to bed later, I think, because I'm like, my brain's so active that I'm not actually chilling for the time that I'm sat down. It's like it's like, I don't know.
But we said, didn't we? Was it the start of October that we went after we finished the podcast and then we went to a gig and we were like, this is kind of like a life hack, because usually I finish the podcast and I feel like, oh, it's bedtime, or you know, it's wind down time now, whereas that gig going out after the podcast just reminded me that no, it's not late, you've still got another few hours. And I'm doing the same tonight. I'm going out tonight with my mum after the podcast and it kind of extends the day. It's a bit of a life hack. Booking those things later actually makes you feel better in a weird way, rather than clock watching and going, oh God, it's going to be bedtime soon, you know, it's going to be this time soon. Well, it's not that time yet, so just crack on and do something.
Definitely. It's things like that unwire that, like, time is man-made, right? It makes no sense. Like, we've just gained an hour. What does that even mean? I'm not a farmer. Why do I need to gain an hour? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, barely any of us are farmers. But
time is an illusion, as they say, you know, it's like
exactly.
It's just a construct.
And literally, if I go like to another planet a bit further and then come back, I'm not as old as you or something. It's weird.
Yeah. Time is the theory of relativity, I think that is to do with.
We don't need to go into physics.
This is why I like following the moon cycles, though, because I feel like it's a nice rhythm that's very visual, you know, and it gives me a bit of structure without me feeling like I'm kind of glued to a calendar. I know it's still exactly the same because you're following the light and the dark pattern and the patterns of the days and then the monthly cycle, but it just feels a bit more in tune with nature.
Yeah, I feel like you've proven to me over this year that just sort of like, you've always been quite organized anyway, but I feel like you're a lot more okay with what's happening, you know, the ebbs and flows of life. I feel like you're riding that wave a lot better, if you know what I mean. Like,
I found the life hack for sure, because my organization is definitely taught. I was lucky enough to be placed with 2 teachers very early on in my teaching career, one of which was very much go with the flow, you know, reacted to whatever circumstances she could think on the spot. and just kind of pull a lesson out of her arse whenever she needed to. The other one was like so organized and really regimented and very strict with me as well as his, like he was my mentor and he was very strict with making sure that I followed his organizational standards. But those standards stuck with me then. They were taught, and it doesn't necessarily come natural, but it's something I've worked at and kept as a habit, and it's definitely helped. The moon cycles have helped me relax a little bit, because I was very much like, but this should be happening, I should be working all the hours God send, and I still struggle a bit with that. But when the moon is in its rest and relax and recuperate stage, it's almost like I allow myself to also do the same. So it's you know, it is that ebb and that flow type thing. I've definitely got more in tune with that, which is very welcome. Those are ADHDers out there that are watching this and thinking, you know, that relate to that I must be doing kind of thing. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, and if you've got that mix of ADHD and autism where you've got this real need for planning but cannot seem, and it's just week after week of like, when will I get this sorted?
Funnily enough, I literally just printed off next year's moon planner.
Oh, very cool. Right, I'm sticking to it. I need some, because I feel like my endo has got to be some connection to that, right, as well. My periods, maybe it's
well, situation. We are cyclic beings, as it were. I feel like the more kind of aligned you become, then the better those things do become. But I mean, that's kind of my hippy dippy take on everything.
I love your hippy dippy take on everything. I'm with the whole everything that's happening in the, shout out to the US, by the way, you've made a great decision. You know what though, I'm taking the bonus from it. We've got 4 more years of ridiculous sound bites. So I'll just take that. But there's a lot of depression going on, a lot of seeing how the world's going in a bad place, and I'm starting to really understand how, because history repeats itself, right? And I'm seeing how hippies were born, because I'm literally like, I just want to buy some land, and if you want to live on the land and grow some crops, and I can eat some of your crops, and you can have some of my, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm a socialist anyway. I've always been thinking like that, but now I'm like, can I just?
It's happening. I feel like it is happening, isn't it? Like you say, people are disconnecting from the rat race a little bit, and it's like, whatever, you know, worrying and stressing is not going to change this, so I'm just going to live and let live type thing.
There was a huge turnout for non-voters this year in the US, and I think that just shows people's disengagement. Like, none of you are representing what I want from life, so what's the point?
And do you know what I've found? You know what, it seems to just, why do we swing from one extreme to another extreme to back to another extreme? Sometimes it's like we don't need like such extreme drastic from one side to the other. It's like the everyday regular person has got better suggestions than what's going on the main stage, and it does get to the point where you think, I've got to laugh, else I will cry and I will go insane. Like, I've got to just withdraw from it.
It's that regular person as well that actually represents the majority. Most people are centrist. Although I'm a socialist, I consider myself to be way more in the middle than like people that are over there with like street communism and like, because you go too far that way, you end up being on that end. It's a circle. So like here, and the most of us are. And it's just how each year, trying to be dragged for the other one to be voted for, you get put the worst things on you about the and it's just
crazy.
Lindsay's running for government. As soon as you get her involved,
do you know what? I totally would put a campaign together and go for it. But you know, when we had that chat and I was like, what do politicians do all day? And you were like, they have meetings. It's like, you know, I would go into politics, but then I would shake up the whole game, because I'd be refusing, like, I'm not going to that meeting or I'd be in the meeting going, why are we here? Why are we taking an hour to discuss this?
I think most of the, like, when you see the House of Lords and House of Commons when they're sat there, I don't think many of them are mandatory. You can see which ones they're interested in, like their pay and stuff, because they're all there. But when it comes to discussing, I don't know, foreign aid, there's about 3 people there.
Yeah, and that in a way is disgusting, because really it should be mandatory that that they are all there and involved. Like, otherwise, where are you then? What else are you doing? Because my point was just that I'd want to be, because mine would be education, so I'd literally be feet on the ground, going from school to school, actually making actionable changes. Like, right, go into there, get all their history books and burn them. Let's rewrite them in a minute. It would be, well, just putting a little, not really.
In the truth more, that's all. Let's not whitewash everything. Let's not make it seem
exactly.
Let's tell the truth.
Yeah, let's kind of have a broader understanding. I mean, this week has gone really well at school, in terms of the students have been really lovely, and the classroom has felt like a really nice, safe kind of setting. But then we've had a meeting tonight, and we were just talking about, like, the backgrounds of these students and what we're trying to get them to do in the classroom, and it just all seems so irrelevant. Like, I'm terrified for the youth. Like, it just, I don't know, it just seems so clear that the whole thing is so ridiculous, and yet we've still got to keep plugging away at, like, oh, yes, this is what you've got to do. Like, oh.
Yeah. It feels at the minute, and again, I don't want to sound too conspiratorial. Nothing I say, what do I know? I'm an idiot.
I can say, you're not the conspiratorial one, but go for it. Sound conspiratorial. Go on, balance it out.
That's not true. Then you're like, wait a minute, and then 3 months later, you're like, that was right, and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said. There's a lot of, I don't think anyone's gearing us up for like top jobs right now. We seem to be, unless you're into technicians, like tech,
yeah,
like tech is being invested in. If you can do that, cool. Teaching, obviously they're trying to get more people back into the NHS, but I still don't see as much medical training and stuff like that being advertised as much as I'd see. And the rest of us, it seems like we're just being left to rot and think that we've all got dreams to be had on social media. Like, if we just have that one viral clip, then
that'll be like me.
As a goal, and your only goal, makes you kind of give up on the rest of it, because you're like, so many people got famous on YouTube or Instagram or just from posting some ridiculous video. Even if it's 15 minutes, I could get £1 million from that, or some sort of brand. And yeah, I think it's crumbling people's brains. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'd handle this being my only, like,
outlook kind of.
I mean, I love it. Please subscribe. I would really appreciate us going viral and making all the money so that we can continue our support in the best ways that we can. But don't get it twisted. If we make it, we're not going to be like private jets. Like, we want to get this going so that we can do good in the world.
Did you see my talking of viral videos? Did you see my video of me trying on all my fancy dress? I feel like if that didn't go viral, nothing will.
I saw on YouTube, right?
I think I did share it on YouTube, actually, on the shorts. Yeah.
I saw a picture as well. You put this is my this is just my favorite.
Yeah, ADHD is like. Oh yeah, no, see, yeah, I did the favorite outfit of 2024 on my personal one, but then on the different human design, which that reminds me, on the Instagram, I've changed it from a different human design UK to a different human design ADHD, purely because on our banner it doesn't actually say the Instagram handle, and I just feel like we've got US supporters and we've got global supporters, so the UK thing kind of makes it feel like as though we're not global. But
there's also the US branch.
Yeah, but B, people don't notice that a different human design is ADHD. So I thought, well, I'll change it to having ADHD on the end, just to hopefully trigger a few more people into realizing, oh, that's an ADHD site, and then they might realize, oh my God, a different human design is ADHD. But a different human design itself is taken, even though they don't use the account and haven't for years since before I set this up. And I've tried to, like, thingy it to Insta, like, just close this account down and give the handle back so that I can use it. But there you go. So yeah, a different human design ADHD is now the now the Instagram handle.
She's sitting and watching for us to become famous so she can be like, £1 million.
Yeah, well, I've trademarked it, so there you go.
10 grand.
Sarah's saying, I never thought of that. I never put 2 and 2 together with your name. Now I know. And that's the thing. It's really, really common for people to, I suppose they're understanding that we're saying we are different by design, but they're not putting that 2 and 2 together. That the original founding was because I was like, ADHD needs a different acronym, and a different human design was born. I wondered why you were called that.
I think Sarah's just highlighted a really good observation as well, that if you are able-sighted and you can see how the ADHD is written all down in one side as the word out, that if you struggle with your sight or you're impaired in any way,
you might not see it.
Hearing it doesn't really translate as well, does it?
And the thing is as well, there's such thing as human design. So a lot of our website hits come from the Google search, looking for human design, and then they find our website. But they do actually spend quite a bit of time on our website, because I think you've got a similar audience. People that are into human design will also be into our outlook on ADHD, which isn't a completely deficit-based outlook. It's a little bit more, if we wasn't in a capitalist society, maybe we wouldn't have a disorder,
100%.
If we were free to go to bed when our bodies were actually tired and wake up when our body clock said to wake up, then maybe we'd be a bit better. Like
I said, I'm not a farmer. I don't need to gain an hour. What we could do is we just understand that your 7 o'clock is my 9 o'clock. That's all I need anyway. That's all I need. We don't need to take it back and forward depending on what time of year.
Apparently they did an experiment with the time saving, and they just left it just to see what would happen, and it did end up like getting dark. It ended up all skew with.
Did it really?
Eventually, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I just remember reading about that. I can't quote when they did this experiment, how long for, or anything like that. Sarah's saying that she listens to our videos and thinks it's relatable, which is good news, because that's what we aim to be, is relatable, in the sense that we said this when we chatted with Steph, didn't we, that we don't want to be these kind of people that are living with mental health issues that are also unobtainable in terms of what we're doing. It's like we are working class, we are juggling a whole life behind the scenes. We've not got any cash input from rich dads or anything like that. It is kind of the everyday person trying to show a good example of it.
I was just daydreaming of what it'd be like to have a rich dad.
I think they call that a sugar daddy. I get offered it enough, like on TikTok. Like, have you ever had a sugar daddy? Like, no, thank you.
Is that what you get offered in TikTok? Tell me now, because I will get TikTok right now. Literally. Nick will know about it. He'll be like, he's our sugar daddy.
Yeah, what would you like? Right, before I forget, I've got a really cool thing to show you, okay? So obviously I was going to bring this tonight as a bit of a surprise. Now, these wonderful women here are who we did the winter sleep out with.
Yes, the Leicester Leisure Pursuit people.
Yeah, so Leicester Outdoor Pursuit, wild women. Cool. They meet weekly and they try all sorts of different activities with the aim of kind of empowering females and growing confidence and trialing out, I think they get on the water and they do what's that stand-up one? I can never remember what it's called. Paddleboarding, but not. Is it paddleboarding?
Yeah.
Stand-up paddle. Yeah. So they do things like that. But I'm sure we were there when they initially had this conversation about wanting to do a calendar.
The new moon camp out that I got straight out there about 2 a.m. and left you all. But before that, we sat around the campfire talking about this calendar girls. I thought it was wicked. I was
they went ahead and they did it.
Because they were at the time, they were like, should we do it? Is it a bit cringe? And I was like, do it. We were all like, do it.
I'm so glad that they've done it, because it's I'll send Steph the email address of how you can order this so that you can just put it into the show notes.
Yeah.
Into the description. But I will put a picture of it on my Instagram as well, because you do have to order it from one of the ladies directly. But it's £7.50 as a suggested base amount.
Okay.
So, you know, I just donated a tenner. But just to kind of give you an idea, like I think it's fantastic. But you know, like one of the guys said that they'd bought it for their father-in-law, and I think it's really good for that. But at the start, it just says, "We are the Wild Women Outdoor Club based at Leicester Outdoor Pursuit Centre. By buying this calendar, you have contributed to our ongoing work to inspire and empower women in Leicestershire and beyond through outdoor activities in a stimulating and safe environment." So they meet at the LOPC, and their activities include stand-up paddleboarding, canoeing, archery, climbing, bushcraft, and their activities extend beyond the centre, where they explore map reading on easy walks and overnight camping, which we were a part of in February, which was great. The group is a safe space for women to discover new skills, build confidence, express who they are, form friendships and community. Now, it's making me think that this is something I need to add to our website as a signposting, because we've spoken a lot about our community club that we've had running all year, but next year we're going to be like rejigging everything that we do and looking at how we deliver everything. But if we can signpost people to the, you know, we don't need to be the founder of all these things. We can be like,
this is this different human design approved place that we recommend that you go and you'll be welcomed, you'll be safe. People understand neurodivergence there. People are so friendly. Like, what a great place to go to. I think that's a great
thing, isn't it? It's like, you know, we don't need to be creating all these things because they're already there. We just need to like you say, so put our confidence in the fact that it's like well run and all the rest of it. But yeah, let's just look at some of these pictures because they are absolutely wicked. And I must say, I want to be part of it next year. Can you see that? Like,
cool.
So cool, right?
Oh, bless them. I'm spotting them. I see them.
Bit of
the balloons, that's wicked.
I bet they had so much fun.
I bet they did
doing these.
Oh, very.
I don't want to show them all because I feel like, you know, this one. I think this is my fave.
That's lovely. I bet that was fun to take as well. You know, how often are they all doing stuff like that? Obviously, never. These aren't OnlyFans models. These are your regular schmegular, brave, strong women of Leicestershire.
It is absolutely fantastic, but you can see the gist of the pictures, and I think, you know, if you want to see the rest of them, then you really should support these wonderful women and buy a copy. So this will be our podcast calendar for next year. Lou saying I bet it was so much fun. Sorry, say that again.
I was reading the same comment you were, and I'm glad you liked it because Lou, you'll be in ours next year.
Oh, bless her. Fleur would be in it. She'd be there like, ooh. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's a really, really cool, fun idea. I just absolutely love it. And I think they had a whole day out, you know, and recorded that. So hey, up Jade's in the chat. You're gonna be gutted that you just missed this, Jade. This
you just
Wild Women. Yeah, Wild Women calendar. Oh, Lou saying me and Fleur in the flowers. So there we go. We might be able to convince Lou to get involved. Just as a sneaky, a little sneaky preview for Jade now that she's here as well. There will be details on how you can order this and support the ladies on our socials. And Jade, you were our prize winner last week, so your prizes are winging their way in the post to you as we speak. Can you see boobs? Kinda, not like. It's like things like this. So
it's a very tasteful calendar, girls. So if you've seen the movie, it's very much.
I think some of them are. There's a bit of side boob going on and things, so it's exciting.
No, I'm super glad you did that.
I know, it is very cute. So whilst I've got you on the chat, Steph, next week, it's World Kindness Week on Wednesday.
Yes, I saw this.
Yeah, so I really want to encourage people this week to do something kind on the Wednesday and then us to kind of talk about it on the Thursday.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, wicked. I've been thinking randomly about being helpful in some sort of way. You know, I've been watching that Beauty to the Streets woman on Instagram and TikTok. If any of you have seen her, Beauty to the Streets, she is a strong Black woman from California who is feeding the Skid Row homeless, and she's doing it with humanitarian. Like, she's so humanizing. She's really compassionate, but she's strong, and she makes sure that she doesn't get pushed around or like put herself in trouble, basically. But she's so lovely, and she's got her own non-profit. And the more I'm looking at her, she's like, there's so many rules, like with passing out food. As you know, you can't just bake something and then give people. There's rules. But with places like Skid Row, you're like, these people are eating dirt. There is children there. And she's like, I don't care sometimes. I'm just going to make a big thing of chili. And if someone wants to stop me, then they can stop me. But until then, I'm going to do it. And it's this kind of, she is the epitome of compassion. And meaning you understand and you observe the suffering and you do the right thing to try and relieve it. And it's not necessarily following rules, but it's doing what you can, where you can. And she's so inspiring. And I just keep thinking, like, I don't need to go that hard. Homelessness in this country isn't as much of a problem, but there is homelessness. Like there's going to be tons of neurodivergence in that community. And I feel like that might be a nice area to go and chat with them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I volunteered. It was always on my bucket list to volunteer on Christmas Day, and you know, do one of those homeless like Christmas dinner things. And oh my God, it was like so heartwarming in the sense that there was like people coming down to get the dinners, and there was loads of presents and stuff like that. But then there was one guy that was like, "Oh, can I take some stuff back to the community type thing?" Because there was like quite a big community living in this abandoned building. And for whatever reason, not everybody could make it down. So we like loaded up this trolley and, you know, helped him like push this trolley back to where he was living. And it just really pulled back the curtain on this, that there's this whole other world going on. But I know that this guy, happy isn't the right word, and I don't want to sound disrespectful, but he was happy, if you see what I mean. Like, I'm sure he'd be happier with consistent warmth and running water and things like that. But I don't know whether it comes down to that the less you've got, the more grateful you are. So therefore, the happier you are. That
I think that's sometimes that word, grateful. It's not necessarily fear, but if you're grateful, then how can you have hate in your heart? Because you're like, I'm still
it's like
here.
the less. It is that the less you have, though, isn't it? It's like whilst we've got a roof over our head and running water, we forget that they're the things to be grateful for. You know, just those survival things. That we could go to the fridge and get some food out.
My screen phone is too big and I can't reach with one thing. Like, men used to hunt. Like, why am I like, you know what I mean? Like, get over it. There's bigger things in the world. And yeah, if I was homeless, I wouldn't care at all with my thumb. I'd just be thankful that I had some
dinner that day. You kind of live in the moment a little bit more because it's like, you know, one day to the next. Lou says that she's seen the advert for that program. I think that Beauty to the Streets. And I think next week that might be quite a good theme, is to highlight some things you could genuinely do, and people that are out there genuine, like that you can turn to and watch for inspiration, because that is what this platform's all about, isn't it? Providing that inspiration. And I love that as well, what Jade said, that my act of kindness was to buy a family in Bulgaria a log burner today. That is absolutely lovely. I've seen that you're just sponsored. I think she might have sponsored that little boy before, or maybe it was a different family or something. So I know that she does her fair share of, and she supports us a lot as well. Oh, too emotional for this.
So lovely. Oh yeah, anything will set me off, but that is also very like sweet. It's very touching.
One of the things that keeps popping up on my newsfeed at the minute, and it's so random because I went to Morris Dancing, not this week, last week, and when I used the toilet, they'd got this like toilet twinning thing on the wall. And I thought, what's that? And there was this picture of almost like a hut type thing. And it was saying that this toilet is twinned with this other toilet. And that meant whoever owned that building had sponsored a toilet elsewhere to provide like a sanitation, station or whatever. Then when I went to, I had my hospital appointment this week for my foot. Remember when it was swelling up and I couldn't walk all that time ago? And I went there, and I went to the toilet there, and they'd got a toilet twinning thing on the wall as well. And at first I thought, oh my God, they're cheating. They've used the same picture. It's just a printout. People are just printing out this picture and pretending that they're twin toilets. But then I don't know whether there's some clever phone thing that knew I'd been in 2 places where they do toilet twinning, because I'd only been thinking about it, but then it started popping up on my Instagram, showing me toilet twinning, and it's £60 and to sponsor a toilet for a year, and then they send you this certificate of a toilet that you're sponsoring to put in your toilet.
Twinned with my bag upstairs.
Wow, I just thought it's quite a unique kind of way to get, because I usually at Christmas I usually buy one of those, it's like a homeless package thing where apparently they provide a full dinner, a health check.
Right,
it's about 60 quid usually, and they, you know, there's all these things that they promise that they're gonna provide for that money. So I just thought, maybe I'll do that this time instead. I might do it for work as like almost like a gift to work, and put it in the students' toilet, so that then when the kids use the toilet, it just brings that awareness of the fact that, you know, not everybody has even got a toilet that they can go to whenever they like. Stop bitching.
Yeah, 100%. Just because you didn't go at lunchtime and now it's halfway through my lesson, you want to go now. Like, some people don't have any toilet. Sit down.
Yes, you can go, but providing you just go on the gravel outside. So Jade's saying, I sponsor a boy that lives in the dump in Bulgaria. 13 of them live in a makeshift room, and it's cold this time of the year. So if anyone wants to help other families, please do. That is very touching.
Send me details to that on Instagram would be the best, to the Instagram podcast, or to our email, adifferentpodcastofficial@gmail.com. I'll put the information for this family in the description.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Do you know what though? I think there's a lot to be said for travel for that reason, that when I've done my traveling and you see how other people are living, it's a real eye-opener. Like going to India, for example, and seeing the slum, you know, you see pictures of it, but I think seeing it in real life, you just think, oh my God, that's how other humans are living in this day and age. And I think the craziest thing is the comparison. So in Mumbai, it's an absolute metropolis of a city. It's huge. And you've got this huge glass building made of steel, and it's all shiny, and there's all these business suits walking in and out, and you know how much money they've paid to be there. And then to the left, there's just like a whole sea of shacks. It's so strange how close it is. It's just like
the richest family in the world lives there or somewhere, something as well.
What, in Mumbai?
In that building, in that really, it's a really strange building. It's like glass and it does like this.
Oh, okay.
But there's something like 70 staff or something, and only like 3 people that live there. And it's got like a Gucci store in it, a Louis Vuitton, someone's house.
It's just crazy. Like, I don't mind people being rich, but what I do mind is people going, like, having nothing, not having those basic needs. So that's what makes me feel like it's so unnecessary to have all these things when there's people out there that are like starving and haven't got clean water and stuff like that.
I feel like a billionaire, there is no reason for there to be a billionaire in this world. Anything that's worth that much shouldn't be owned by one person, because it really has so much like gravity in the world. Like, how can someone be a billionaire and so many people have nothing? It just baffles my mind. Like, I just don't. Multiple millions, fine. You can have multiple millions and be fine. You don't need a billion. No one needs a billion.
I think people struggle to realize the difference between a million and a billion. Somebody told me something like counting from 1 to 1 million would be quicker than counting from 1 million to 1 billion. And it was something like that. And it gave it perspective where I was like, wow. So I don't know. I don't know. It made it really clear what a massive jump it is from 1 million to 1 billion. And I think when you've bought and sold a few houses in your lifetime, you realise that 1 million really isn't that much, because your house might have been 250 grand. That's $250,000. That's, you know, it's like 1 million's not actually that much in this day and age.
Property in the UK is ridiculous as well. And these tiny little mansions with like small gardens, but they're like 2-3 million. You're like,
I'm going to work my whole lifetime just to pay the bills on this thing that then I'll never be able to enjoy. Just going to the comments, Sarah said she went to Bangladesh in 2013, I think that was, and it was an eye-opener. And that's what I mean. I stand by, if you can travel, do, because it will just really make you realise like the difference in standards of living. And then Gurjit as well. I am from, I don't know how to say that, Pune, town near Mumbai. I'm from India.
Oh,
welcome. I love that. So we've now had people watching from America. Was it Canada last week? India. Canada. Brilliant. Loving it.
German as well.
And then Jade saying Nepal was an eye-opener. Nepal was an eye-opener for her.
Those are statistics.
Yeah, here it is. 1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. There you go. Yeah, that's probably the stat that it was, because it blew my mind. 1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds, 32 years. So that's the difference between £1 million and £1 billion. Like years. That's crazy.
This is why I'm a socialist. Yeah. This is why.
It's like the whole footballer wages. When you hear what footballers are earning, and you're like, I couldn't physically have that money and not be funding charities and like giving away. Yeah, exactly. You just think you don't need all of that. What do you need it for? It's absolutely nuts.
How many pairs of trainers can you really get?
And that, even stuff like that, like people fall into this trap of that you need things. You don't actually need any of this, you know? It's like
my man with his trolley full of Christmas dinner that he's rolling back to his compound, like he's happy as Larry.
Yeah, exactly, and happy just that if his shoes ain't got holes in them, you know, and they're not letting in the wet kind of thing. And I get it. It's nice, you know. We live in a society and a world where it's nice to have nice things, fair enough, but just have that perspective on it.
It's horrible as well that these communities, you know, lesser off, get depicted as more dangerous, so you're less likely to involve yourself with these types of communities, and it's just not true.
Yeah, that frustrates me actually.
Growing up in Leicester, it was in the 90s with white parents. They were a little bit racist, so the P word was not paedophile.
Banded around.
Yeah, whether they were from Pakistan or not, do you know what I mean? It was just offensive, and it was very like casual racism. And it took me a while to realize that people with darker skin aren't worse than me, and that's horrible to admit, but I find it important to admit as much as I can, especially to an online audience, that I did once think that way because I didn't question it growing up. It took me a while to go, oh, and it was real humbling, like, what kind of things was I believing? And
it's just that generational thing that if we don't stop and question those cycles, they're going to continue. But I mean, again, it comes down to that traveling. If you get out of your home and into the bigger world, like I was in a hostel in India on my own, and there was this one afternoon where I just sat in the kind of like communal area and just chatted to loads of different people in there, all a bit younger than me, older than me, and that it's like watching Seek Discomfort, where you start to realize humans are human. Everybody has the same fears, the same dreams, even the same outlook on kindness and connection and what they want from life. And you start to think, oh my God, we've been tricked by these divides. Actually, everybody is very, very similar at heart.
How much more friendly other countries are as well. I mean, Jade said a perfect example with Bulgaria. You could easily go on a holiday to Bulgaria, stay in a resort, go to the beach, and have no idea that outside of that, it is controlled by mafia, that it is like people are really living in dire situations. And I think it's important that even if you think you're traveling, to make sure you're getting out there and seeing the real side of the place you're traveling to.
That is a really good point, because I was actually, when I was talking about India, in my head, I was thinking, you know, when I went to Antigua, I stayed in a wooden shack for a month with an Antiguan, and it was brilliant. Like it made me that was one of my eye openers to make me realize I could live without the kind of there was running water, but it was a little bit, you couldn't run the water, you couldn't waste it because the tank would run dry, and so it was like kind of that in between living. But it made me realize, I can do this. And it was things like we'd light a fire every night and cook fish on the fire, and so the lifestyle was very different, but it was absolutely fabulous. I loved it. But then my friend, I was chatting to her. She's like, "Oh, I went to Antigua. Yeah, I loved it." But it turned out she stayed in a 5-star hotel on the beach. So her holiday in Antigua was going from the hotel to the beach, back to the hotel. There was no going to the local supermarket. The island itself is only 26 miles straight across, so you can travel the island quite easily. And it was at that point, it was very, very safe. I mean, I'm not sure how safe it is currently. Sarah says she's going to go and make some tea. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. It was lovely to have you.
Enjoy your dinner.
Keep those TikTok videos coming. I'm really enjoying all the insight and the inspiration and the depth. I love it.
Yes. I love the
but I think it is, like you say, Steph, so important that if you are traveling, look into the local culture a little bit more than just that kind of hotel that you're staying in. And even it might be, that you ask somebody, how can I benefit this place where I'm traveling? Like, if you go into Bulgaria, can you sponsor a family for a week, or is there a charity doing some work there? Like, one of my friends, I can't remember where he did stray dog. He looked after the stray dogs. I think it might have been Portugal or somewhere. But he did a week working with the stray dogs and walking. He's got a T-shirt on. That's what made me ask. I was like, "Hey, what's your T-shirt all about?" And he's like, "Oh, it's when I did volunteering in the stray dog centre." And there is, there's so much out there that you can do to be a worthwhile human being.
I feel like, imagine, because my mum's got a friend that when they go on holiday to places, they quite like these, like, Venezuela, Colombia, places that are very downtrodden because of like hardcore communism. But they feel guilty if they just go there and enjoy how cheap things are and how easy things are for the traveler. So they make a point to research the most like deprived areas, and they go first, and they will spend 24 hours just helping people, meeting people, so that the rest of their holiday, it's the way that they do it guilt-free, basically.
It's almost like pay it forward.
Yeah, definitely, because the tourism boosts the economy, but not to those areas. They don't see it.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like and Jade said as well, that's the difference between tourists and travelers, which is I like that. There's a lot of truth in that. And Gurjit saying, if you can just visit Punjab in North India, I would have a great time and enjoy an experience of your life. Well, when I went up north to the Taj Mahal, went to see the Taj Mahal. I can't remember what the village is called. I always forget what the actual city's called where it is. And it's a very, very different experience. And then we went to Jaipur on the way back down. And again, there was this tourist element, but there was a very cultural element as well. And then Mumbai, and then I did Goa on my own, which again, Goa is so different, like, to the rest of India. I think it might even be independent. There's definitely there's something someone was telling me, but it's a country that I definitely want to go back.
I've got a cookbook, which is my mum's sister's son, so my cousin Jordan, his dad, their side of the family are Goan, and his grandma on that side has a Goan cookbook, so it could be quite fun if we followed the recipes and made some like curry.
Weirdly, I've just got lost in this, like, I don't know, wormhole the other day of scrolling right back in my Instagram. I think I'd seen somebody on TikTok had done like a picture collage of them 10 years ago. Like, how was this 10 years ago? So I wanted to see how far back my Instagram actually went, because I opened it when I first released a book. So I knew it wasn't like a very, very far back one. And I ended up in 2018. And I was just completely like, how I'd just thrown. But anyway,
By just 2018.
Yeah, it was really nice to reflect. I thought social media does have its benefits, doesn't it? All this like little photo reel of updates. But then it got to 2019 and I realized what are we on? Yeah, about another month. And it's when I was flying to India and I'd put something, I'd done this post and it was like to do with getting over your fears, like something like, may you shoot from your hopes, not your fears type thing. And I remembered how terrified I was. Like it got to the point where part of me was like, why have you put yourself through this? You just want to stay at home and be safe, because part of me was absolutely terrified. Like I knew I was going to be meeting my cousin and doing some of the traveling with her, but I also knew there was going to be a lot of it that I was going to Goa on my own, for example, to a festival.
The ADHD brain is really like, it loves the idea of adventure and excitement. And then you book it and the reality sets in. You're like, wait, I'm going to be on my own for that bit. And it's like, I can be like cool and on my own. And like, you take a few pictures and you're like, cool, I can post that. And you're like, okay, I've got 17 more hours. What do I do?
Now what do I do?
But how did you feel going on the trip? Was those fears valid, or
they were valid. Yeah, it was terrifying. But no, there was good and there was bad. Like there was times when it made me realize, considering the statistics show that it's one of the most dangerous countries to travel alone as a female, and yet that I met some such lovely, friendly people, and there was times when I was a bit lost or whatever, and men would take me under their wing, like not take me under the wing because I was like petrified, but we're shouting over like, do you need help, mum? And they really were polite, and it made me think, gosh, it's so horrible that those few high profile cases are what determines your outlook, I suppose, on the thing. But then there was one case, for example, where there was a crush, like a crush of people and mopeds and a couple of cars, and it just got more and more dense. It was like a crossroads, and I had never ever seen traffic like it. People, mopeds, cars, all just, and there was these big, it just kept surging and then stopping again and then surging, and you were terrified. You were trying to stay on your feet, and all I kept thinking was, if I fall, I'm dead. Like if I fall over in this, there's no getting back up again, because before you know it, people would surge over the top of you. So it was like, I've never been in a life and death situation that was quite as precarious, I suppose. I was on my own, so there was nobody's going to raise the alarm of this girl's fallen over, it was really, really terrifying. So yeah, there was, and then I think it was the same day or around the same day where I did just stand there in the heat, this tiny little slither of shade, and in my head I was like, what have you done? I just want to go home. Like I'm hot, I'm bothered, I'm scared, I'm alone, I'm lonely. Like there's a difference between being alone and lonely. And if somebody could have like flown in a helicopter and dropped a rope and took me out of that situation, I would have gone. Which usually that thought kind of snaps me back out of it, come and make the most of it. But it was, yeah. But I think it's character building, when you have those experiences, you get through it.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have those helicopters that come in and save us, right? So,
so you have to get through it somehow.
When she booked Community Festival, because you didn't have that option to be airlifted out, what did you do? How did you adjust to it?
Well, it comes down to that self-talk, doesn't it? Again, that solid self-talk where you're like, come on, you may as well make the most of it. What are you going to do? I think at that point I did wander down the beach. I thought, just go down the beach and just chill down the beach. But then that's when I was getting harassed by sellers, just one after another. And it's like, I was just crying, like, I'm like, I hate this. What have I done? What have I done? But then, your gratitudes come into play. You start to get a bit of perspective over the actual proportion of the situation, and you just have to suck it up and just get on with it. But I think that's again what then builds the resilience for the next time. There's been so many occasions where I did Magaluf on my own for 6 weeks as well and worked out there, and that again, there was some terrifying situations that happened while I was there where I thought, I'm going to die in this place. And you come out the other side and you kind of think, wow, I am such an incredibly strong person. Nobody can ever take that away from me. So yeah, it's
efficacy, right? Like that, knowing that I am competent at this thing, therefore my comfort zone has grown and I've got a better sense of self and I can do more things now.
I think it's I think that's where a lot of my confidence has come from, because I do push myself out of my comfort zones and I survive. So then it's a level of self-confidence that is like, it's earned, and it's, people can kind of, people can, try and knock you down, and it might temporarily work where it hurts your feelings and you question yourself, but then you bounce back because you're like, nah, I've seen some things and I've done some things and I've survived some things, and I'll be okay, kind of thing.
Definitely.
Just reading, so Jade saying that's what happened when I booked Community Festival. I think that she'd booked it and then must have thought, what am I doing? But you met her, so there was definitely a reason for it. If you are put in a position where you have no choice other than to suck it up, that's where you find strength you never knew you had. That is absolutely the truth. And I believe, though, that that's partly destiny, and that the universe puts us in these situations where, what are you going to do? Sit on the floor and just shut your eyes and hope it's game over? That's not what's going to happen. You have to pull through it, and then you learn these valuable lessons for next time.
It's that the religious take on that is, you're never given anything you can't handle. Like, God, that everything that's given to you is something within your means to be able to handle. So get on with it.
Yeah, and you just need to prove it to yourself. That's you're proving it to yourself that you can handle it, and then earning those stripes for the next time, if you see what I mean.
Hey there. Whether you're spiritual, religious, an elf,
a scientist,
100%. We all think the same.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's like whatever your medium is, whatever you compare it up to, you still end up with the same result anyway.
Yeah.
Explain, Shauna. Shauna shot parties to please then. Oh shit. Oh yeah, well explain Shauna's shit parties. Well, clearly you have got the. Say that again.
What's a shit party?
Yeah, well, you're just lucky you don't know what a shit party is, Steph. It's where Shauna shits everywhere and Jade has to clean it up. So Shauna, if you're listening to this, have a good old laugh, because Mum has great fun cleaning up your poo when it's everywhere. But
Mum's always there for us, so it's fine.
You did say
for my mum.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do for you, Jade. I'll go and take a poo at my mum's house, and you can
see if she cleans it up.
Know that we're all doing it. It's fine.
Well, when we spoke the other week about karma, and that this lifetime is to help us learn lessons that we didn't learn in past lifetimes, Jade did say that she is laughing, bless her. Jade did say that potentially her relationship with Shauna in this lifetime is to provide her with an unselfish outlook. That maybe in the last lifetime, Jade, it was you having the shit party and Shauna doing the cleaning, and then in this lifetime, the roles have changed. So that's how I would explain it anyway. And clearly, you wouldn't be given those.
A past life where Jade was playing with poo. It's got to be. I don't believe it's possible that that universe doesn't exist. We all.
If you'd have shat in your tent at Community, Jade, I'd have cleaned it up for you, mate. Well, karma is a bitch. It is. Karma's always doing its work, and we choose our karma. It's not a case of that karma's dealt to us by this higher force. This is what I believe anyway, that at the end of a lifetime, when your soul is reflecting on what it's learned and what it could learn next time, you choose those lessons for yourself. You're like, right, well, I need to learn this.
So my next life, no one's texting me back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to say maybe in the last life that happened first, but actually no, it wouldn't be that way around.
I think I'm fortunate for the next life. I don't think next life. I don't think I'm done here. I don't think I've attended.
You've got plenty of time yet, Steph. You're only young.
Many lives.
Plenty of time to learn those lessons yet. Look at how much I've developed just in the 2-3 years that you've been working with me. I've gone from there. I thought I was in a good place then, and I just keep getting breakthroughs, keep breaking through those glass ceilings.
manifestation board, completed it, mate. How many have you completed by now? It's like ridiculous.
And no, I've added more to it now, don't worry. Oh, isn't life an incredible gift? It absolutely is. And I feel like the synchronicities and the connections that you make and those strange little coincidences, they're the beauty where you just think, whoa, this is such a mad trip. Like that's, it's just.
I completely agree. And I love you too, Jade. But a weird coincidence happened this week. So I didn't see Nick much last week, but randomly, I think it was yesterday, he was like, oh, it was like one of my friends at school died about last week or something. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And he was like, someone called Courtney. And I thought,
oh, that's, I know Court, yeah.
And I thought, what are the chances that that's the same person? Like, of course,
the same guy. Yeah, my heart goes out to his family because he is such a good guy.
I've heard many good things about him. He says that he was very close to him when they were young kids on the estate, sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's always a bit jarring, isn't it, when someone you went to school with or someone you grew up with is no longer here. It's like, oh my God, I'm actually that age where people are like, dropping now.
I think, that's the thing. To be honest, with something like that, I always just take it as a wake-up call, if you know what I mean. It's like, right, okay, that's another little reminder that life is not about worrying about the small things that you can't change, and you've just got to really grab it by the gonads and go for it. We've got a question in the chat. How do you deal with stress? Now,
I don't know. You tell me. I can't wait to find.
No, yeah, we're on a mission to discover that ourselves, actually, because it's definitely something that we struggle with.
It's one of the things where I've got tons of advice. I've got tons of ways to help other people. And in many cases, I've been successful in helping others. Can I apply that to my own life? No. Somehow, to a certain extent, but let's help this person out. Let's not.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you had to quick fire when it comes to dealing with stress, like top tips, what would you say?
Okay, so we don't make very good decisions when we are stressed. So when it comes to these moments, try not to blame people, get hard on yourself. Just try and deal with the physical situation that's happening at the moment, at that time. When it comes to how you talk to yourself about this stress, we know that self-compassion is the only way that's going to be able to help you. You start having a go at yourself, you start blaming yourself, it's not going to go well. It's not solving anything. So some self-compassion in the form of self-soothing, because the fact you're stressed indicates to me that you're not dealing with, don't have a very good self-soothing coping mechanisms. You might be dealing with it with alcohol, drinking, cigarettes,
shouting, screaming,
lashing out. Yeah. The understanding what triggers you, what makes you stressed, and trying to limit those interactions, but that can't always be a thing. So then we understand how we appraise ourselves as this is happening. So as stuff's triggering you, in the moment, try your best to question, why am I triggered? Why is this upsetting me? If you're angry, why am I angry? Try and work out what that emotion is underneath that. In terms of long-term stress, it's real bad for you. You might be struggling with sleep. You might be suffering with relationships. Your health might be declining, in which case I really recommend you go to a doctor's and you chat with them or a psychotherapist and really deal with it one-to-one with a professional. But I hope they
were really good tips.
Have you got anything?
Trying to share what's stressing you with a friend, that can be really helpful, can't it? Like just getting it off your chest. And I think giving things perspective, like I used to get stressed about, I think with ADHD in particular, you're all or nothing. So if one thing stressed me out, like, I don't know, I've missed the bin collection day, that stressed me out. All of a sudden, I am fuming about that bill that I've not paid, about this upcoming trip that I've not organised, the washing that needs doing, the dog's whimpering, and
you're bringing in
and I think just being able to be aware that you're doing that and going, hold on a minute, what am I actually stressed about right now that I can deal with? Is stressing going to help? Is stressing going to change anything? It's just going to make things worse. So it's definitely that, like you say, that being able to talk to yourself a bit calmer, because your brain doesn't know the difference between, somebody else shouting at you and you're shouting at yourself. So if you're just like, oh, I'm such an idiot, you're going to cause a stress response even more. So kind of stop, pause, take a deep breath, deal with something, anything that you need to make yourself safe in that moment, but don't try and start solving every issue within your life right there and then.
Stress means that you're in that emotional brain, right? And it's not very good for making decisions or being too clever. That brain is not good for us. It's good for keeping us alive, and that's it. So to get yourself more into that logical brain, because I know you might be thinking, well, how do you start thinking, oh, it's no point being, no point being worried. What's the idea?
If you're reacting emotionally.
10 deep breaths literally activates the vagus nerve. It activates the prefrontal cortex, and it allows you to make those decisions that are better for yourself. So 10 deep breaths.
And move as well. The deep breath thing is absolutely wicked. And movement. So if you're sitting down, stand up. If you're standing up, sit down. If it's possible to go for a walk, go for a walk. Like just getting outside in nature. You suddenly start to think, actually, it's not as bad as what I thought. And Jade's saying in the chat as well, I find that you have to let your body feel it, sit with it, but don't let it take your body over. And meditation is a must. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like once the stress itself's calmed down, what can you do in other areas of your life that is hopefully going to stop you getting to that point in the first place?
Because there's how do you deal with stress, and then how do you prevent stress from becoming too toxic, right? Because we all get stressed. We all there's no point being like, I want to live a life with zero stress. As nice as that be, we live in the real world. I'm not a retired 60-year-old in Sicily. If I was, I'm sure life would be pretty nice. But life is hard. Life is stressful.
So what can you do?
Which is what makes me laugh when people are like, just avoid it. And you're like,
no.
Let's go a bit further in, because I can't avoid everyone.
Like that's actually implausible. Even if you were living that life in Sicily or wherever, you just said you'd be worrying about where your next limoncello is coming from. So you've still got to deal with stress.
Exactly. I've never had a limoncello.
Well, you've only got about 6 more weeks of your sober challenge to go, and then you'll be able to have one.
You see me, I'll be like, this is Lindsay. This is Stephanie. No, I've the idea of being drunk does not appeal to me at all anymore. I like the idea of having a drink. The idea of getting like, cringe.
No, thank you. I've evolved from that idea. What a lovely note to end it on. I think what Jade's just said, life is definitely what you want it to be. It really is. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like that, what you focus on is what controls you type thing. If you sometimes just switching off the mainstream media, stepping away from the news channel, that's self-care. It's it's going to stress you out. So ignorance is bliss in that respect.
That aware of what's happening on the other side of the world 24/7. Definitely peel yourself away and do things that are good for you. Focus on the good things. Make a list. What am I grateful for? It's always helped.
And you can visit our website and download free guides from the shop. So that's www.adifferenthumandesign.co.uk, and in the shop there are lots of different free guides. One's particularly about anxiety, so that might help with stress. And they're free, so that's one less thing to stress about is the cost.
Don't be fooled. It's in the shop, but there is also free versions of anything. If you'd like to, a little donation, you're more than welcome to, but they're available for free. Because we're like that.
Yes. I think Well, I'm going to have to shoot in a minute because I'm going to an orchestra in a cathedral, which I'm very excited about. It's been on my bucket list to see Harry Potter theme tune performed by a live orchestra, and it's happening tonight.
I thought it was that one. I saw it advertised. It's the Hans Zimmer one, right? Yeah, that's going to be awesome. So we'll all send you all the best vibes and go and enjoy that. We're all very jealous. And I'm going to go put dinner on. I'm just going to make pulled pork burgers.
Oh, very nice. Sounds good.
I had my elbow together.
I had my dinner before we came on here, and I had garlic bread with lasagna and onion in the salad. So when you said, shall we do it remote, I thought, yeah, because I was getting paranoid about how much I was going to be stinking sat next to you. So it's a bonus.
No, I appreciate it. No germs and no garlic smell. Although I do love garlic, so it would never offend me. Don't ever worry about that.
And I was going to bring posh hot chocolates tonight, so unfortunately you missed out on that, which I thought, how ironic that on the picture there's hot chocolate with marshmallows and cream. That's literally what I was making.
That's what I brought too.
No way. That is so strange.
It's a hotel chocolate.
Oh wow.
Gosh.
Very nice.
But that's what we've got. Stay tuned, guys. The rest of this winter, we are not going to be hibernating. We'll have us every Thursday, 7 to 8, with our hot chocolates and anything we need. I'm getting a weighted blanket because it just needs to happen. And until next week, we've got a ton of kindness things to be doing. Kind tasks, what's the word? Gestures?
Yeah, acts of kindness.
Acts of kindness to be taking part in. So if you'd like to tag us in them, please do a week on our socials. In the meantime, have fun at the orchestra, Lindsay. Say
thank you.
Hi to Mama Ali, and
I will.
This is Lindsay.
And this is Steph.
There we go. At Different Human Design.
And this is a different podcast. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining us. Oh, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Can you high five me? Can you just touch the...
It's the other side.
Oh, is it?
There we go. Oh, that is for me anyway. I don't know about you.
No, it's not for me.
Was it that side?
Do the other side.
Now I'm keen to see what it looks like on the actual screen.
Okay, now high five. Nice. Night, mate. Night, guys.
Night. Take care. Bye-bye.